Salvador F. Lara was a special man. A loving, caring, hardworking father who was always there for us. Before he passed, I had a chance to speak with him and write down his life story. His life was an immigrant story, an adventure that reflected the values that he lived by, and his pursuit and realization of the American dream. Many of you know him as a friend, co-worker, or for the folks at Costco, Nora's husband. But regardless of how you knew my dad, I'd like to take this time to share his story with you. This is my Dad Sal. He was born in 1954 in Lobatos, Zacatecas. As a child in rural Mexico, he started working at a very young age. Around age 12, his family moved from Zacatecas to San Quintin, Baja California. His father, Aurelio Lara, bought some land and built some adobe rooms, and they called that new place home. San Quintin is a small coastal farming town, so there's not much to do besides work, have kids, or play baseball, which is my dad's favorite sport. At age 18, he was drafted into the Mexican National Guard to serve on the weekends. It was there where he realized the options for his future were limited in his hometown. He wanted something more. So in 1973, he came to the United States, like so many others, in search of a better life. When he arrived in Los Angeles, he was both amazed by the big city and overwhelmed by the culture shock. For the first couple of years, he struggled, but he found work in factories around LA. On the weekends, he would help my uncles who owned a body shop in Southgate. That's where he discovered car painting, which sparked his lifelong passion. It was LA in the 1970s, so of course, my dad was obsessed with cars. He told me stories about his 1963 Chevy Nova, his 66 Chevy Impala, Bochos, and his favorite, a 1969 Chevy Caprice, which he painted candy apple green and lowered the suspension and added rims. It turned heads everywhere he went. During this time, he left factories behind and started working at body shops and dealerships around the city. He still played baseball on the weekends with his cousin Lolo. They had this amateur league that he was a part of. He was obsessed with baseball. In the early 1980s, he got a job at a Toyota dealership. That's where he really honed his skills as a car painter. It's also where he met his friend and future business partner, Michael. Together, they started a side business restoring, selling, and exporting classic Cadillacs. That side hustle took them across Europe, making my dad the first in our immediate family to travel the world. It was during those travels he picked up photography. I remember seeing those photos as a kid, and they really inspired me to pursue photography and storytelling myself. In 1988, my dad met my mom in naturalization classes. They became friends, and eventually something more. My mom already had 2 daughters back in Guatemala, and she had come to this country with the same dream as my dad, to build a better life. They married in 1989, and soon after, my sister Polina was born. Not long after that, my dad sold most of his car collection so he could bring my older sisters to the United States, giving them the chance at a better life too. He loved my mom deeply for who she is and for the hard-working woman he knew her to be. In 1990, they were living in Southgate in a small 2-bedroom apartment with all the kids. One weekend, while helping a friend move, my dad discovered a small town outside of Palmdale. Housing was affordable there, so he saw an opportunity. Soon after, my dad and my mom bought their first house in Lake Los Angeles. At that time, my dad was the sole breadwinner, and times were tough. But he never stopped hustling. He kept the lights on and food on the table. In 1994, I was born on a Saturday while my dad was working. I was born in an AV hospital, and when I was born, my dad was convinced I was a little monkey because I was covered in body hair. Needless to say, he gave me his name and his legacy that I've tried to live up to. When I was growing up, he was always working, and he'd come home and work some more, painting cars out back, but every Sunday without fail, he would wake us up for church, this very church that you're sitting in right now. He taught us the importance of God and Jesus and being part of a community. Lancaster Foursquare and the families we met there left an impact on all of our lives. We weren't rich in money, but we were rich in love because we had him. Our family isn't perfect, far from it, but through all the ups and downs, there was one thing for certain, that he was always there. You can call him up anytime to talk about life, to get advice after messing up, or to celebrate when the Dodgers won. In 2013, he was diagnosed with kidney cancer. Soon after, he left his job as an auto painter and officially retired, which was hard for him because he loved to work. Even through the surgeries and the treatments, he never lost his humor or his patience. He fought until the very end. He wanted to live. He lived for us, for his family, for his kids, and sometimes I think for watching the Dodgers, but that's another story. On the morning of the day he passed away, I helped him onto his chair and I asked him, "Dad, how do I be a good man like you?" He looked at me and he said, "Be honest, be humble, and be hardworking." It's that simple. And it really is that simple. Those are the values he lived by, and to honor him, I plan to live my life by those same values. We buried him in late April 2025, next to his parents and his brothers in San Quintin, Baja California. He had shown me the place years ago, facing the ocean. That's where he wanted to rest. My dad lived the American dream. He lived it with integrity, humor, and love. We were lucky to know him, and I was lucky to call him my dad. My dad, Sal.